Reptilian. As the only bobsled coaster left in North America, and the only mock bobsled ever built on this side of the Atlantic, this is an incredibly unique coaster. But with simple winding turns and a graded layout, does that make it a good family coaster or just a unique experience? Find out in this review. Bobsled coasters have a unique and limited history. During the 1930s, there were many wooden bobsleds, none of which have survived. Knoebels Flying Turns, the newest bobsled coaster, is currently the only modern wooden bobsled. Saltaire, an amusement park in Utah, made a built-in-house steel bobsled in 1982 in Space Coaster. Then, Intamin made 5 bobsled coasters, which Roller Coaster Tycoon would define as a Flying Turns model, but is a Swiss Bob from Intamin. 3 of these tracks were the Sarah Hope bobsled model, 2 of which were bought by Six Flags, and which have been featured at 5 different Six Flags properties. Mack Rides also created a train bobsled, similar to the bobsled coaster in Roller Coaster Tycoon. 6 of these models operated, with 5 remaining. The only one in the US is Reptilian at King's Dominion, as the remaining 4 are spread throughout Europe. As an entire roller coaster type with only 12 steel coasters ever built, bobsled coasters are a truly unique breed. Further, with no operating independent bobsleds left, this is a dying breed. For those worried that it may become extinct soon, King's Dominion did recently retheme it to Reptilian from Avalanche, so it seems the park is committed to keeping this coaster, at least in the near future. Now, you join Professor J at the Reptilian Temple Project, where the Way Foundation is doing archaeological work. This temple was dedicated to crocodiles, and the ancients would board a carved representation of these creatures to zigzag through the mud clay that encircles the jungle. This theme seems eerily similar to that of Raptera, but it does still work. I just wish there was a bit more temple theming along the actual course, but that still looks fine as a coaster off-ride, and this coaster really doesn't need world-class theming. The worst part of this coaster though is its capacity. With 7-car trains, they can hold a max of 14 riders, but since you have to sit on top of each other, this isn't going to happen, especially for larger adults, meaning that most trains go out under capacity. Though, since this is really a calmer coaster geared towards families, that's okay, as high thrill seekers can just simply steer away from it. I visited King's Dominion on a slow Monday and Tuesday in early June, so most coasters were a walk-on, with the new Raptera getting a 20 to 30 minute wait at some points, and Backlot Stunt Coaster maybe having a 20 minute wait at times as well. Twisted Timbers only got a short line midday, but was easy to marathon for most of the day. Reptilian seemed to average about a 20 to 30 minute wait as well, which is understandable given its low capacity. And I did come back and get a midday ride on it just because it's such a unique coaster. And the lines for everything else were incredibly short, so I really didn't mind waiting to re-ride it. It is located in a plaza with another low-capacity coaster in Knoebels, which I got like 1 flip on over my 2 rides on it, so likely not a super exciting free spin. But it is a tamer rocking version for families looking for a wild but not too wild coaster. And Raptera, which is the new for 2025 thrill coaster, though it honestly looked not too big and scary, at least to me, so it should play well as a family thrill coaster. Likely, Raptera is placed to get most of the crowds to help keep these 2 coasters with slightly shorter lines, though when Raptera broke down midday, which it did on both my days at the park, those queuing seemed to head straight to Reptilian, giving it a very full line. If you road drop Reptilian, or Knoebels and then Reptilian, you should be relatively okay. Maybe a few train wait each time to ride it. I would prefer starting with the Marathon at Twisted Timbers, but if you need to get rides on this coaster, you're probably much better off knocking them out early. After leaving the station, you slither to the left and then up a lift hill. The first part is pretty short as it consists of a downward helix and then a turn into a straightaway and the mid-course brakes. The helix still offers some fun from this coaster, as you get a quick taste of how this coaster can create some good speed and fun forces in the various turns. The mid-course brakes are strange as you come to a stop and a warning message tells you that you will resume your ride shortly. But it's not really clear that this is just like always played for guests, or maybe it's part of the theming. I feel like for a family coaster, coming to a stop on the mid-course brake run should be clear to all guests that the ride has not broken down. And if they did want to have an awkward stop like this, you could add a small piece of theming to accompany it and make it really cool. The next section is much longer as you have a few more turns to go through. I mainly got to sit towards the back of this coaster, so I got good speed throughout this section, even though the entrance isn't too high. You start with a sharp turn left that gives you a little bit of leading at your slow speed, before snaking to make a right turn and changing your direction. This leads into another change in direction as you have a 180-degree left turn that leads into a downward helix facing right. All the directional changes allows for your bobsled to move a bit in this section, which does play well with the overall crocodile or reptilian theme. The downward helix offers fine speed and is enjoyable for what it is. This is followed by an upward left helix, which still maintains its speed fairly well until the final left turn into the brake run. What about roughness? I've experienced with intimate bobs from riding La Vibora at Six Flags Over Texas. While that ride could be smooth or neutral in the mornings, it had enough of a rattle that riding it later in the day after many coasters could aggravate a headache, at least for me. I had heard that the graded trough that allows rain to drain can cause roughness or at least bumpiness, but I felt the ride was rather smooth, all things considered. It still is going to have some bumps and vibrations given its nature, but I found it actually rode smoother than my experiences on La Vibora. Overall, how good is Reptilian? This is a solid family coaster with enjoyable speed, fun helixes, and pacing that allows for you to always be doing something. Except that awkward mid-course break. It's not a terrific coaster, but it's not meant to be. Its purpose is to be a fun, unique, helix-focused family coaster, similar to older suspended coasters, and in that, it does a great job while offering fun enough forces. I rank it as one of the better family coasters out there, placing right above Racer 75 at King's Dominion, both in the park and in my overall rankings. Racer 75 offers a bigger classic Woody with a nice first drop and a fun out and back layout. The airtime on the hills just wasn't much, at least for me. So it made a nice family or quasi-thrill experience, but just didn't do anything extra as a special coaster. I rank Reptilian right below Hornet at Wonderland. This coaster originally ran in Astroworld as my Mindbender, and there I loved it as my favorite coaster due to its calm nature and fun helixes. So, for what Reptilian is trying to be, Hornet is the standard bearer of excellent helix-focused family coasters. The slight jerks that you're able to get on Hornet, as well as the layout having a bit more up and down hills, does give it that slight edge, though likely I'm always going to prefer Hornet due to my personal history with that coaster. how much can you enjoy Reptilian? Do you enjoy riding unique coasters? Let me know, and as always, Kapkun Krap.